The wind howled through the pines, tearing at the fabric of Ethan's tent like it held a personal grudge. By midnight, the cheap nylon had split, leaving him cursing under a sky that promised rain. I lay in my own tent, heart pounding, knowing I couldn't let him freeze out there, not Ethan. Not the guy who'd been my anchor since we were kids. We were deep in the Adirondacks, a 6-hour drive from our small town in upstate New York, chasing a weekend of escape from the suffocating weight of our lives. Ethan, with his easy grin and quarterback shoulders, had always been the golden boy, straight, charming, untouchable. Me, I was Lucas, the quiet one, the artist who'd been in love with him since 10th grade, hiding it behind sketches and sarcastic quips. "Luke, you awake?" Ethan's voice cut through the dark, low and rough from the cold. I unzipped my tent, and there he was, drenched, his hoodie clinging to his frame, his breath visible in the chilly air. "My tent's toast. Can I?" He didn't finish, but his eyes, those damn green eyes, held a question that made my chest tighten. "Yeah. Get in here before you turn into a popsicle," I said, scooting over to make room. My tent was small, meant for one, and the idea of sharing it with Ethan sent my pulse into overdrive. He crawled in, his broad frame filling the space, and suddenly the air felt too thin, too warm, too everything. "Thanks, man," he said, shaking out his wet hair like a dog. "Didn't think I'd be bunking with you tonight." I forced a laugh, but my throat was dry. "Yeah? Well, don't hog the sleeping bag." He grinned, and for a moment, it was just us 12 friends, like always. But as he settled in, his shoulder brushing mine, I knew sleep was a lost cause. Every inch of him was too close, too real. I'd spent years burying how I felt, convincing myself it was one-sided, impossible. Now, with him inches away, the walls I'd built were crumbling faster than his stupid tent. We'd planned this trip to celebrate graduating high school. A last hurrah before college split us across the country, Ethan to Penn State on a football scholarship, me to an art school in Boston. It was supposed to be simple: camp, fish, drink some beers, and pretend the future wasn't coming. But nothing about Ethan was ever simple. He'd always been the center of our small world, the guy everyone loved. Girls swooned. Guys wanted to be him. And I just wanted him to see me. Not as his best friend. Not as the kid who helped him with math homework. But as someone who could make his heart race the way he did mine. "Luke, you're quiet," Ethan said, his voice softer now, cutting through my spiraling thoughts. He was lying on his back, one arm behind his head, staring at the tent's ceiling. "You okay?" I swallowed hard, turning my head to avoid his gaze. "Just trying to sleep, man." "Liar," he said, and I could hear the smirk in his voice. "You're thinking too loud." I wanted to laugh it off, to keep things light, but the weight of the moment pressed down on me. The rain started, a soft patter against the tent, and the world outside felt far away. It was just us, trapped in this tiny space. And every breath he took seemed to pull me closer to confessing something I'd sworn to keep buried. "Ethan," I started, my voice barely above a whisper. "You ever think about what happens after this? After we leave?" He turned his head, and our eyes met. His were searching, like he was trying to read something in me I wasn't ready to show. "What? Like college? Where you mean us?" My heart stopped. Us. The word hung there, heavy with possibilities I didn't dare name. I don't know, I said, chickening out. Just, everything's gonna change. Right. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he shifted closer, his knee brushing mine, and I swear the air crackled like static. Some things don't have to, he said finally, his voice low, almost careful. You and me. We're solid. Luke. Always will be. I wanted to believe him. God. I did. But the way my skin burned where he'd touched me, the way his words felt like they meant more than he was saying, it was too much. I turned away, staring at the tent wall, trying to steady my breathing. Get some sleep, I muttered, because it was safer than saying what I really wanted. But Ethan didn't move away. If anything, he settled in closer, his warmth seeping into me. And I lay there, wide awake, caught between fear and hope. The rain fell harder, drowning out the world. But it couldn't drown out the truth screaming in my chest. I was in love with my straight best friend. And tonight, in this tiny tent, I wasn't sure I could keep pretending otherwise. Morning came too fast. The rain replaced by a misty dawn that made the forest look like a painting. Ethan was up first, unzipping the tent and stepping outside, his silhouette sharp against the pale light. I watched him stretch, his shirt riding up to reveal a sliver of skin, and I cursed myself for noticing. Coffee, he called, already rummaging through our supplies. Yeah, I said, crawling out to join him. The air was crisp, the ground damp, and the tension from last night lingered like fog. I busied myself with the campfire, trying to act normal, but every glance at him felt like a risk. We spent the day hiking, fishing in a nearby stream, and trading the kind of easy banter that had always defined us. But something was different. Every time our eyes met, there was a beat too long, a question neither of us asked. By afternoon, I was exhausted not from the hike, but from the effort of keeping my feelings locked down. That night, we sat by the fire, the flames casting shadows across Ethan's face. He was quieter than usual, his usual cocky energy replaced by something softer, almost vulnerable. You ever feel like you're hiding something from everyone? He asked suddenly, staring into the fire. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? He shrugged, tossing a stick into the flames. I don't know. Like, there's a part of you no one sees. Not even the people you're closest to. I froze, my heart hammering. Was he talking about himself? About me? The air felt charged, like the moment before a storm breaks. Yeah, I said carefully. Sometimes. He looked at me then, his eyes intense, searching. What are you hiding? Luke. The question hit like a punch. I could have lied, brushed it off with a joke like always. But the firelight, the quiet of the forest, the weight of his gazite stripped away my defenses. You really want to know? I asked, my voice shaking. He didn't look away. Yeah, I do. I opened my mouth, the words right there, ready to spill. But fear clawed at me, and I couldn't do it. Not yet. Maybe I'll tell you tomorrow, I said, forcing a smile. Ethan laughed, but it was soft, almost sad. Coward, he teased, but there was no malice in it. He reached out, his hand brushing mine as he passed me a beer, and the touch lingered just a second too long. That night, back in the tent, the tension was thicker than ever. We lay side by side, the silence heavy with things unsaid. I didn't know how much longer I could keep this up pretending, hiding, loving him in secret. But as his breathing slowed, steady and close, I let myself hope, just for a moment, that maybe he was hiding something too. The second day dawned brighter, the forest alive with birdsong and sunlight filtering through the trees. But inside me, a storm was brewing. Ethan's question from last night, "What are you hiding?" echoed in my head, each word a pebble dropped into still water, rippling through my resolve. We packed up camp to hike to a new spot, a lake Ethan swore was straight out of a postcard. He led the way, his backpack bouncing with each step, his laughter carrying over the trail. I followed, sketching him in my mind, his broad shoulders, the way his hair caught the light. Every detail was a brushstroke I'd never share. "Yo, Luke, keep up," he called, turning to flash that grin that always undid me. "I'm right here," I shot back, but my voice was tighter than I meant. He raised an eyebrow but didn't push, and we kept moving, the silence between us heavier than the packs on our backs. By noon, we reached the lake, its surface a mirror reflecting the mountains. Ethan stripped off his shirt and dove in, whooping as the cold water hit him. I stood on the shore, sketchbook in hand, pretending to draw the scenery when really, it was him, always him. "Come on, man, get in," he shouted, splashing water my way. "I'm good," I said, but he swam closer, his eyes glinting with mischief. Before I could react, he grabbed my ankle and yanked me in. I hit the water with a yelp, the shock of cold stealing my breath. When I surfaced, he was laughing, his face inches from mine, water dripping from his hair. "You're such an ass," I sputtered, but I was laughing too. The moment so perfect it hurt. For a while, we swam, the lake washing away some of the tension. But as we climbed out and lay on the rocks to dry, the air shifted again. Ethan was quiet, his usual energy dialed down, and I could feel him watching me. "Luke," he said finally, his voice low. "Last night, you didn't answer my question." My heart stuttered. I sat up, brushing pebbles from my palms, buying time. "What?" "About hiding stuff." "I told you. Maybe tomorrow." He didn't laugh this time. "I'm serious. You've been different all weekend. Like you're carrying something heavy." I looked at him, sprawled out on the rock, his chest rising and falling, his eyes locked on mine. He was so close, so real, and the weight of my secret felt like it might crush me. "Maybe I am," I said, barely audible. "But it's not your burden to carry." His brow furrowed. "What if I wanted to be?" The words hit like a lightning strike. I stared at him, searching for a joke, a deflection, but his face was open, unguarded. For the first time, I wondered if he knew, if he'd always known. "Ethan, don't," I said, my voice cracking. "Don't say stuff like that unless you mean it." He sat up, leaning closer, his expression intense. "What if I do mean it?" The world tilted. My pulse roared in my ears, and I couldn't look away from him. "You're straight," I said, the words tasting bitter. You've got a girlfriend. You don't get to. I broke up with Sarah. He cut in, his voice steady but quiet. Before we left. I didn't tell you because I don't know. I didn't know how. I blinked, my mind scrambling to catch up. Why? He ran a hand through his hair, looking out at the lake. Because it wasn't right. It hasn't been right for a while. Not with her. Not with anyone. The air felt too thick to breathe. I wanted to ask what he meant, to demand answers, but fear kept me silent. Instead, I stood, muttering something about needing to set up camp, and walked away. He didn't follow, but I could feel his eyes on me, burning through my defenses. That night, we shared the tent again, the space between us charged with unspoken words. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying his words by the lake. What if I wanted to be? It was too much, too dangerous to hope for. But as Ethan shifted closer in his sleep, his hand brushing mine, I let myself imagine just for a moment that he felt it too. The next morning, we hiked to a ridge with a view that stole my breath, mountains rolling out like a promise of forever. Ethan was quieter than usual, his usual bravado replaced by something softer, almost nervous. We sat on the edge, our legs dangling over the drop, and he handed me a beer from his pack. To us, he said, clinking his bottle against mine. I froze, the words sinking in. To us, I echoed, my voice barely steady. We drank in silence, the wind carrying the weight of the moment. Then he spoke, his voice low, almost lost in the breeze. Luke, I've been thinking about you, about this. My heart stopped. This. You and me, he said, turning to face me. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. I'm not like you. But I can't stop thinking about you. Not just this weekend. For a long time. The world narrowed to his face, his eyes, the way his voice trembled. Ethan, you don't know what you're saying. I whispered, because it was safer than believing him. I know enough, he said, and then he leaned in, his hand brushing my cheek, and kissed me. It was soft, tentative, but it set my world on fire. For a moment, I let myself fall into it, let myself believe it was real. But then reality crashed in years of hiding, of fear, of knowing this couldn't last. I pulled back, my chest heaving. We can't, I said, my voice breaking. You're not. This isn't you. He looked at me, hurt flashing in his eyes. What if it is? I stood, my hand shaking, and walked away, the ridge blurring through tears I refused to let fall. I didn't know if I was running from him or from the hope he'd just handed me, a hope I wasn't sure I could survive losing. I didn't sleep that night. Ethan's kiss burned in my memory, a spark that threatened to ignite everything I'd spent years protecting. By dawn, I was a mess of nerves, packing up our gear with mechanical precision to avoid looking at him. He was quiet too, his usual confidence replaced by a hesitation that mirrored mine. We hiked back to the car in near silence, the forest no longer a refuge but a mirror of the chaos inside me. Every step felt like a countdown to the moment we'd have to face this, whatever this was. Back at the trailhead, we loaded the car, the air thick with things unsaid. I wanted to ask him what the kiss meant, if it was a mistake, a moment of weakness, or something more. But every time I opened my mouth, fear choked the words. "Luke," he said finally, as we stood by the car, the keys dangling in his hand. "We need to talk." My stomach twisted. "Yeah," I said, my voice hoarse. "Guess we do." He leaned against the car, his eyes searching mine. "I messed up, didn't I? Kissing you like that. I didn't know how else to say it." "Say what?" I asked, my heart pounding so loud I was sure he could hear it. "That I care about you," he said, his voice raw. "More than I should. More than I know how to deal with. I'm not. I don't know what I am. Okay. But when I'm with you, it feels right. It's always felt right." I stared at him, the weight of his words sinking in. "Ethan, you can't say that and expect me to know what to do with it. I've been in love with you for years, and you're just now figuring this out." His eyes widened, like he hadn't expected me to say it out loud. "Years." "Yeah," I said, my voice shaking but steady. "Years of watching you with other people, pretending I was fine just being your friend. And now you kiss me, and I'm supposed to believe you're, what? Suddenly into guys. Into me." He flinched, but he didn't look away. "I don't know what I'm into, Luke. I just know I don't want to lose you. And when I kissed you, it wasn't some experiment. It was real." I wanted to believe him. Every part of me ached too. But I'd spent too long protecting myself. Too long knowing that hoping for more could break me. "What happens when we get back?" I asked. "You go to Penn State. I go to Boston. You figure out you're not into this. And I'm left picking up the pieces." He stepped closer, his hand reaching for mine, but stopping short. "I'm scared too," he admitted. "But I don't want to pretend this didn't happen. I don't want to pretend you're just my friend." The vulnerability in his voice cracked something in me. I took a shaky breath, meeting his eyes. "Then what do we do?" He smiled, small and uncertain. "We figure it out. Together." The drive home was quiet, but not the heavy silence of before. His hand rested on the console between us, and when I let my fingers brush his, he didn't pull away. It wasn't a promise. Not yet. But it was a start. Back in town, life tried to pull us back into its old rhythms. Ethan had football practices. I had art projects. But we stole moments a coffee shop date. A late-night drive. A kiss in his car that felt like a vow. It wasn't easy. People talked. Whispered. Judged. Ethan's teammates gave him side eyes. And my parents asked too many questions. But every time doubt crept in, Ethan was there. His hand in mine. His smile grounding me. One night, a month later, we sat on my roof. The stars above us like the ones we'd shared in that tent. "You ever think about that night?" he asked, his head resting on my shoulder. "Every day?" I said, and he laughed, soft and warm. "Me too," he said. It was the start of this. Of us. I turned to him, my heart full. "You're not running away." He kissed me, slow and sure, his answer in the way he held me close. Not a chance. We weren't perfect. There were fights, fears, moments when the world felt too big, too harsh. But we faced it together, Two kids from a small town who found something worth fighting for. That camping trip. That broken tent. That sleepless night, it wasn't just a moment. It was the beginning of a love that taught us both what it meant to be brave. To be honest. To be us.